I want to bring in Sean Spicer, Chief Strategist and Communications Director for the RNC. Sean, thanks so much for being with me today, and welcome from sunny Florida. My first question to you is, outside. I want to get your feeling for what things are like as you go into those meetings, because the behind-the-scenes reporting is that it is an all-out brouhaha between your members about whether you should keep the rules or stuff the rules for new ones. What's going on in there?
So generally speaking, what happens is every 4 years, the RNC makes recommendations to the Convention Rules Committee about changes that are suggested, and they truly are that, just suggestions and recommendations. Chairman Reince Priebus has suggested that the RNC forego that and leave all decisions to the elected delegates.
I know that the technical reason for that, Sean, is that, you know, Reince Priebus is saying publicly, look, this is such a keg of you-know-what, that if we change anything at this point, all eyes are on us, and it could really be problematic. So let's just keep it all in place. But there are others who say keeping it all in place just keeps all the power with the big party brass to be able to wrangle things their way and even bring in what they call a white knight at the end of the day in the convention. So that's why I'm saying it is very clear to those watching this process that there are two divergent sides within the RNC meeting. What's going to come out of it? A set of new rules for the Rules Committee or a blank piece of paper?
Well, again, understand that nothing is going to come out except the potential of recommendations. And as I said, the chairman's been very clear that he believes all of the discussion should be left to the elected delegates. That the idea that the RNC should get in the middle and create any sense that something's being done that might potentially support or oppose one particular campaign is not a good idea. We should leave all the decisions to the elected delegates who have been chosen by the Republican grassroots voters from coast to coast. So I think that there's a lot of attention here, because I think that, frankly, there's nothing else to talk about. But you're going to see what comes out this week, which is going to be the RNC largely deferring to the delegates who have been elected and allowing that conversation to occur in Cleveland this summer.
So the strange thing is that everything seems very upside down, Sean, because when Reince Priebus says, look, leave it the way it is, let's not mess around, let's not get involved, it's exactly getting involved, you know, the charge from Donald Trump that these existing rules make the process rigged. And he says it allows people like Ted Cruz, who are not winning in the numbers, to go and say, offer free travel to the convention to get a delegate to be on his side, say at second ballot. And he says that's rigged and we need change. So is it possible that, say, this guy, I've read about him, he sounds fascinating, Solomon Yu, who is from Oregon, I believe, who wants you to toss out the existing rules that mimic the House and go with something called the Roberts Rules of Order. We're all getting a great civics lesson, but Roberts Rules of Order, for his part, he says, are a lot more democratic and they take the power away from the big RNC bosses.
Well, it's a couple things. Number one, the rules and the process we're using is the same rules and process we've used since 1856. So not following the same procedure would actually be would be changing the process. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind. Second, the current process does allow for the majority to have its will of delegates to win on everything. So whether it's the rules, the platform, whatever that is, all the issues that come up in Cleveland will all be decided by 137 or 1,237 delegates, or a majority of those on the floor. So the majority of delegates who have been elected by the Republican grassroots are what's going to have their will in Cleveland this summer. The chairman's point in this is nothing that's discussed here this week in Cleveland as it pertains to the convention will have an actual impact on what gets done in Cleveland. It would be merely recommendations. And that our job is to ensure that everyone sees that we are the fair arbiter of the process. So the less that we do to create confusion, the better. We need to make sure that everybody sees this process. Actually, it hasn't happened since 1976. So for a lot of people, they're frankly unfamiliar with the process. We need to make sure that we do everything we can to educate people about what's going on and to do nothing to further cloud that process.
Okay, to educate them, so I'm going to just book you right here and now for when the Hollywood meeting is over, and you can come out and talk to me about every single thing you guys talked about behind those closed doors. Is that okay, Sean?
Absolutely, but remember, they're not closed doors. CNN's got a camera inside. There's a CNN or a pool
But there
camera.
are so many closed doors.
Nothing is happening in closed doors. No, but look, I love the fact that we're out here discussing it. It's a lot better to have a nice breeze, but there's no closed door meetings. Everything's open. Come on down.
Oh, thank you for the invitation. I'd love to. Thank you, Sean Spicer. We'll talk to you in a few days, hopefully.